was saying in this one, I was trying to come with like some forbidden knowledge and things that would be like maybe different than what someone's heard before, but they could also be profound. Now, as I'm so what I was getting ready to say something, I want to say a couple things. So, what I want to say, another point of magic is that a lot of people there's certain words that there's certain things that are so beautiful and sublime that you can't there actually there may be a word for it, but you can't enunciate what that word is simply as a technical jargon or nomenclature is the word. So a word that fits into a field or scope of knowledge and is a little bit arcane means that it's not known to the general public, or another word would be like um so there's like so nomenclature would be like a word that fits into a field of a scope of activity that you wouldn't be privy to unless you're engaged with that or versed in that. But then another word is um what is it um so some people would say esoteric. That's another word for arcane. Would be esoteric. Doesn't mean spiritual in itself. It just means like it's part of, it's off the beaten path, and it's to a specific field or scope of work or knowledge. Is esoteric. But then the word I was like, what is that word I'm looking for? Um there's a word uh the um dang, I'm not. There's a word for like for when something is it's it's like it's not a well it's not a well it's not a well known, it's a well heard but not a well known word. What is that word? Um um the uh if you can bear with me for a minute, it was the I don't mean to waste anyone's time. It's uh oh man, I cannot grasp that word. Um but there's an exact word that appears in the works of Arthur Avalon. It's an old word that's not part of normal modern English, but it's still part of English. Um, what is that? I'll damn it. I almost want to make this whole video run until I can figure out what that word is. What is it? It's the um I'm gonna put it in the footnotes to this video when I'm gonna go back and look up that word and put it in the footnotes. But there's a perfect word. But some words that are like this, you actually need a bit of improvisation and spontaneity and creativity to render what that word means. That's why Arthur Avalon refers to himself as Arthur Avalon, the spiritual pseudonym that is a reference to his collaborators, which he is among, giving homage to them as Arthur Avalon, but his real name had been Sir John Woodroffe. But he's stating that his ability to articulate, enunciate some of these ideas with excellence, with eloquence par excellence, as is possible in the English language, fine Oxford English, as he was employing to render some of the ideas of India, but also paying homage to the fact that there's a limitation in that he's not actually of that, he's not raised in that culture or from a lineage. Um, there would have to be oversights and assumptions in his appreciation of that, that couldn't be avoided. He appreciates, but but something he appreciates that it's actually beyond him to convey some of those ideas. And likewise, some words, like one word would be sentient. It's actually, I don't think that you can articulate even were you a philosopher. A philosopher, the word etymologically means lover of wisdom, and you don't have to have an entitled title that's conferred on you to be a lover of wisdom and engage with wisdom and have insight from that could be valuable. But um the word sentient would be difficult to enunciate and articulate directly as a matter of course, as a matter of terminology. It actually is a deeper, because it's not limited. Terminology limits things. If anything, I've thought, what are all these different things that people are being taught in college? Different ways to spell the word genocide, or different activities that amount to genocide, that is interfering with and overlaying arbitrary preconceived interests onto a natural environment that is the earth, to the latter's detriment, despite whatever conceit and ego would attend studying in different terminology. But you could say that appreciate is just different ways of spelling the word genocide is the outcome is. But um, this word sentience is that you can't entirely enunciate it without some improvisation and support and blessing that would come despite you, or with you but beyond you. According to Arthur Avalon, when we're actually speaking, our references is we're engaging with an actual level degree of consciousness within us that's greater than what a human being is ordinarily appreciated as. It is termed divani in some of these other in Eastern traditions. um, so you would actually need the support of that faculty of agency of a human being, and in some of your influences that would that maybe inform that to enunciate what sentience is. But generally speaking, sentience is feeling. Some of the and then so you could say that maybe action is a consequence of feeling, because we feel something before we act, and then we also feel something for acting. But but that would go along with this word. I almost had that one I wanted to think of, this word of magic. So, but he can enunciate in painstaking detail from a scientific standpoint how material, you actually can't isolate what it is to have mind. You actually don't exist outside of having a mind, because you have no experience of existing independent of the sensation of a mind of some kind. But that's not necessarily limited to your brain. As I've said in other videos, the brain may be a locus of perception, or just actually a sensation of orientation to like up and down, left and right, east and west balance. That gives us a sense of being in our head, but we're not necessarily conscious from our head or limited to one form of consciousness. Because if anything, existence is not limited, especially what we appreciate as numerically. So we wouldn't be limited to having a one seat of consciousness from that standpoint. Some people would say, make your blood boil, think on your feet, weaken your knees. You're not dancing until you move your hips. Think with this or that member. That one's such a this. Oh, that isn't that one that much of a that. Feel it in your gut. The bile of that person. That one has a lot of heart. Sometimes you feel things in your throat when you're intimidated. Sometimes your tongue is always running. Sometimes you sniff something out, or you're nosy. You speak with your eyes. The eyes are the seat of the soul. Different people would say things about like the brain and the pineal gland, or like the third eye. Something, you feel something on the back, tingle on the back of your neck. That one's spineless. Um, uh, Makes the blood boil, stuff like that. That's an example of different seats of consciousness that's appreciated in like folk in common folk wisdom and in the experience of people. Um, but um, uh, um, but at least he can enunciate that in painstaking scientific detail. Feeling it's a tendon of matter. That might sound materialistic, but it's actually more so spiritual, as he enunciates that. And so all things, both what we appreciate as organic and inorganic, animate and inanimate, as though we can appreciate something as having physical reality, and then even maybe finer than physical reality, because we're composed of like a physical body, according to Gold Ray Twin Flames, who speaks about the concept of twin flames. A lot of people would have a problem with someone thinking that you have a twin flame, but if you think about making love, the male body exactly corresponds to a female body, as though they were intended for one another. Also, I think that when you're born of your parents, not are you your parents' understudy or offspring, as we're taught that, as though we were livestock, but I think you actually may be something of your parents' twin, and that there's something significant about twinning in human beings in the formation of a fetus. And it might be that all people have, I have a pet theory that all people have a twin of some kind, and that because life is dual, the human body is duplex: two brains, two eyes, two nostrils, 2 feet, two this, two that, and two intestines, large, small intestines, and other things can be seamed into. It's potential that there's actually two of a person that is comes into being when conceived, but one may be manifest and one may be attendant. Your actual guardian angel might actually be yourself, your twin. And then when you actually have the appearance of two people that are identical, two physical twins, there's certain realities about that are beyond what can be appreciated by science, but also what can be appreciated by science. And certain unscrupulous scientists, according to Oshel and other places like Soviet Russia, perhaps the Nazi Germans, they actually did wicked and mean-spirited experiments on twins, and also the experience between mothers and children, and twins and mothers, like doing things to twins in the ocean, where there's no appreciable connection that can be sustained physically at that distance and depth, and attacking offspring at a specific moment in